and welcome to Baby Lady Podcast. I'm Debbie Homer Davis and I run the largest independent nursery store in Kent. Over this time, I've been lucky enough to meet some amazing people, and some of them have agreed to join me on our podcast. We'll have managing directors, CEOs, as well as children's authors, car seat experts and health professionals. All of these people have one thing in common. They're passionate about what they do, and they've agreed to share their knowledge and enthusiasm on our podcast. On today's episode, we talk to Martin Boyle. Martin's the managing director at Eye Candy, and he is responsible for helping make Eye Candy the iconic global brand that it's become. He's passionate about the industry and driving change. And on today's episode, he's going to share some new and exciting advances that Eye Candy have in the pipeline. But if you want to find out more, you're going to have to listen to the whole podcast. So Martin, I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. One of my most exciting guests, and I've been very, very much looking forward to speaking to you. We've known each other a little while, haven't we, Martin?
Yeah, over 16 years. I thought I've been at Eye Candy. 16 years gone February. And I I know we discuss it now and again. I remember when we first met each other, probably wasn't the most optimistic of times, because I was Carly Morgan, who was then my boss at the time. Eye Candy wasn't even around. It wasn't even a concept then. And she came down to see you, and I went out shadowing her with a brand that we had, was Little Shield, SCS London Limited. And I think she was trying to sell you Mirabelles at the time. And we went into your little back area, and she tried to sell you the Mirabelles, and you were having none of it. So if Carly left with her tail between her legs, and you turned around to me and said, "I'm really sorry if this is your first experience of the nursery industry," and you apologized to me and said, "Oh, I hope you go on to do good things." And 16 years later.
Well, there we go. You see, I could claim to be inspirational in your climb to fame. It's safe to say the company has changed massively since those days. Can you tell us a little bit more about how they have changed? And obviously, you've been instrumental in that change.
Well, it's interesting because when I first joined the business, so I met Bradley and Warren Appel. I thought it was a bit of a girly job, going around the country visiting retailers. A lot of them aren't around anymore. You are. But it got me to see the whole of the United Kingdom, Wales, Scotland. And then when I was going around, back then everyone was selling a travel system for about £250 max. But there were certain brands out there that were starting to push the boundaries a little bit and starting to innovate the market. And I said, well, okay, hold on, this is something we should be in. We shouldn't really be, especially after I went down and saw the grilling you got Carly over us being mass marketed over Little Shield. I thought, hey, I don't want to be on that end of the bill. So we went back actually, and we started buying a product off the shelf from China, which not many people will remember, you will, which is the IC2 travel system. And yeah, it was a bit like a Promise or a Plico. And it was an all-encompassing travel system. We sold a car seat with it, and there were two versions of grey and red and grey and two-tone grey, which, funny enough, actually, that two-tone grey, I don't know if you would remember, we used the two-tone grey and actually put that on one of our best-selling products ever, which was the peach and truffle. So that was the exact same coloration. Anyway, the same time that we launched the product, Mamas and Papas had a half-price sale. So obviously people were very used to the Plico or the Promise, and we launched our IC2 travel system. But we were quite successful to a point, because we set out the brand in a very specific way. So we only wanted to deal with independent retailers. We wanted to give, obviously, the retailer something that would be exclusively theirs at the time. We were non-internet back then, so we weren't mass market. We weren't, put on the big major shelves and discounted. So we were there to support the independent retailers, and we went for the high-end retailers like yourself. And yeah, we were successful.
You've been known, Eye Candy's known for being groundbreaking and introducing new products like the apple to pear back in 2007. And you're still making them now. Obviously, the apple to pear was completely groundbreaking. How do you continue to come up with new ideas and innovations year after year?
Well, we have a design team in the UK. We have a design team in China as well. We have myself, who I get involved in everything, and certainly the design of the products and trying to make world first is the main thing in my mind. So I'm always looking at the market, always looking at what we do and how we can change it so that it's not necessarily for today's parent, but for tomorrow's parent. And if you go back 16 years, what a parent wanted for their child and for themselves back then is a lot different from what today's parent wants. They want, back then there was no style, there was no real fashion, there was no real, that this was an extension of their lifestyle, this pushchair. Now it is an extension of the lifestyle, and we see with something like the Cerium, as you well know, people love it because it sort of expresses how they are, as well as being an absolute brilliant product for their child. And that's what we always look at. First of all, how can we make this best for baby? And then convenience for parent is second, where a lot of other countries, especially the US and stuff, do the opposite. It's basically about the convenience for parent and forget about the baby. So, so for us, we have the design team, we have me, and we're always trying to make world first. We have a world first, we believe, coming out, hopefully launching a cologne this year.
You heard it here first, folks. Another exclusive. You heard it here first.
This is going to be another pushchair, and the name is currently the Eye Candy Core. So if you look at all the names we have apples and pears, but every one of them has a core. So we believe this pushchair will be central to everybody's life. It will be a must-have product. So even if they buy another competitive product, I think they will also want to use this product because it does both. I can't go into any other details.
Are you going to tell me anything more than that?
No, I can't tell you anything more because we've been designing it for over 2 years, nearly 3 years it takes us to bring something to market. We have to be very considered in what we do. We have to make sure that all the safety standards are put in place, all the products that we use, the fabrics, the F4. I wish we didn't have F4 in the UK. It's one of the most negative things I think about purchasing products in the UK versus in Europe. But anyway, that's a different subject.
So that's fire retardancy for people who don't understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. And also we
fire retardant, and obviously in Europe they don't do that. Obviously it is a safety feature, but it does mean, that impacts on your buying choices as well with fabric, because presumably that's quite an expensive thing to just fire retardant things for the UK.
Absolutely, and it's also, you're limited to the amount of fabrics you can use that can take this coating, and so we have to be constantly talking to the factories, going out and sourcing our own fabrics and so we would go off into the fashion places in London and the markets and the fabric markets and come back with fabrics that we really like and think would make our pushchair great. And we come back with about 20 different fabrics, and eventually, because things can be F4 coated, you're whittled down to about 5. And then after that, it's not just necessarily taking a fabric, slapping it on a chassis and pushing it out the door. Some of our competitors do that quite nicely. Yeah, we don't do that. Oh, no. We have to think about things. We have to be considered, and it's all about the breathability of a fabric, how it's going to make a child sweat or not, how it's going to keep a child cozy. And we've got some innovative features even in our carry cot this year that will allow both snugness and ventilation, and that's down to parents' choice. So we have to also think that we're not making products just for the UK, we're making them for the world. We're in 36 countries around the world, but we're a very small business. We only have 50 employees. We love it. We keep it small. We don't lose control of it. And because we're privately owned and we're not, necessarily owned by an entity, we can control decision making. We make very fast decisions. We make very good collaborative decisions. So we're not waiting for something to happen or for a standard to change. We're sort of trying to push the standards. I've been invited so many times to go onto committees regarding the BPA, which if I had the time, I possibly would, but I don't. I need to concentrate on making beautiful products for you to sell, Debbie.
Absolutely. And in fact, just literally before we did this podcast, I was selling a Cerium to a customer who is a very good customer of ours, who previously 10 years ago also had an eye candy product, and that is absolutely true. I didn't make that up just for this podcast.
Wow.
It's absolutely true, and she knows that
Wow.
I've gone off to record this, so if she's listening, she'll know who she is. But yeah,
Don't
she
drop her
absolutely
name.
loved it. She loved the Nursery, and she originally loved her eye candy. So it just proves that even 10 years on, you are still, or 16 years old, still coming up with brilliant ideas. So we talked a little bit about fashions. How would you say fashions have changed? And I was going to ask you about what you see in terms of fashions for the future. I know you briefly touched on this new product that you're going to launch in Cologne. What happens if Cologne doesn't happen?
We'll do a virtual show or a road show here in the UK.
God, I do miss your parties. You do throw awesome parties. We need another party.
Oh, remember that other one where we had all the mythical creatures and everything? That was a good one.
That was definitely a one-off. That was.
Yeah, that's what's in my mind. If you see that party, that's the mind I have. Let's go crazy. Let's push the boundaries. But going back to your question, it's changed. Look, everything is a full 360. I've seen it already. I've seen the fabrics that we had out initially when we first started the brand, and competitive fabrics out there, and the checks and the tartans and the busyness of pushchairs, to now at this moment in time, everything has just gone so reserved, so bold block colors. You know, we tried to push the trend with our last iteration of peach and had 3 colors on there, and it really didn't work. You know, it was too much. And even though you're actually just putting a third color in there, which might be piping, you know, parents didn't like it. You know, and I also think that parents are a little bit more savvy now, and of course pushchairs or travel systems, etc., are more expensive than when they first started off. So initially maybe they might have been more disposable. Now they want this for more than one child, hence the reason why on a good part of our product offering we have this double up, so you can buy it and you can turn it into a double, or descale it if you're just having one child moving forward with your life. So parents, you know, money's an issue, so they want safe, they want, you know, we are trying to bring out a couple of more girly colors, and we have had girly colors in the past that have done respectively well, but ultimately your volume, or the majority of the products you want, are your grays, your blacks. And even I feel at this moment in time, there seems to be a move away from navy. I don't really think that navy is as good as what it used to be. But on the flip side of that, we've just launched an orange in a light blue marl fabric, and that's just gone crazy. So you can't call it all the time. But and even, you know, it was one of the joint CEOs that wanted this color, and I was like, don't really think this is something, but let's order X amount of it, see how it goes. And, you know, I'm scratching my head as to think why people are going crazy over it. So I think maybe there is a trend. It'll move back again. It'll move back again to something a bit more designery, you know, even when we're moving forward with our next designer collection, which we won't say yet. But we will be at some stage in the future, you know, finishing off with Cerium and moving on to something else. We have to. It's great. Maybe we might move the Cerium fabric onto something else. You never know.
Wow, you heard it here first. The blue marl, by the way, if customers are interested, it is so beautiful. In fact, the colours on the orange have been very, very well received. The changes, the upgrade to the new orange are really, really positive changes. It's really, really saleable.
And that's
They're
what
all
we
lovely,
do.
but the blue marl is I think from a point of view, from looking at it in store, it's because it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
and it's not boy-y. It's not sort of like navy. That marl just gives it such a unisex appeal, just being a little bit different. It's a very, very nice colour.
It's like that baby blue sort of thing, but it's not necessarily boyish. It's just because it has a two-tone fleck in the fabric, it gives off that, you know, that allure that it's good for either gender. And I think that's one thing just to point out, is that we do this for all our products. We don't just necessarily put out a product and that's it. It stays like that in that particular fabric. We're always, how can we improve it? You know, I think peach is on like its 10th generation of change or modification. And a lot of the time when we do changes, we don't even put up the price. So we go off and we improve the fabric, we improve the finish, the fabric, you know, the functionality, and we don't necessarily push the price up. Sometimes we have to, sometimes we don't.
Well, we unfortunately, I think everything is being squeezed quite a lot, isn't it, with container charges and general at the
Correct.
moment. So buy it now, folks, because I'm sure the prices are going to go up. Maybe. We'll see. So obviously, the last 12 months have been very challenging for everyone. How have the last 12 months affected you and iCandy, you personally, and also iCandy as a company?
It's strange because we were actually prepared, so prepared that we were astounded that maybe some of our competitors weren't as prepared. So when we knew, the virus was coming, we set out a disaster recovery pack so that we knew what was going to happen to the business should things have to close. We moved all our landline phones onto .com phones or internet phones so that people could continue to work from home. Customers could still ring but with any issues they have or queries, etc. And we also made a workflow pattern within the business, within iCandy HQ and Biggleswade, so that people could work safely and move safely around the businesses, and had all our hand sanitizers and everything in well before anybody else. So for the first lockdown, we were actually quite fortunate because where a lot of our competitors had to close, we were able to continue. And we had a lot of staff working from home, the majority of them. And we had the factory people being able to pick. We sort of scaled them down to a bare minimum. They were tested even before people were doing testing with thermometers and everything coming in. So we were quite good the first lockdown, and we're still quite good the second lockdown and even the third lockdown, so to speak. I think the first lockdown, people panicked bought. I think they thought, oh my God, how long is this going to go on for? And they went out and they needed a pushchair, even though, they just had Nookie the day before. But yeah, they were out. And I think the second lockdown, I think people were a little bit more considered and realized the world wasn't going to end. The future would still continue. There was light at the end of the tunnel, that retailers were opening back up. So a lot of people sort of held back and wanted to go in and have that experience with an iCandy retailer and get to look and feel, compare, contrast, and get back to the nice side of being pregnant, the nice side of having a family. That Quitchy mum and dad come in, even grandparents come in, and all together they feel something. And a pushchair purchase is so emotive. It shouldn't be. It should be like a car, but it's not. It's just really emotive for parents and for grandparents. Invariably, the grey pound gets involved and helps with the purchase of a pushchair, or the in-laws are fighting with each other. Oh, I'll buy the cot set and you buy the pushchair. And it's funny because I do a lot of the consumer shows. I love doing the consumer shows. And we do it mainly, we have our own iCandy stand, and we do it mainly so we can talk to the end users and get a feel for what they want. And it's invaluable to us from that side. The sales are not necessarily what we're looking for. It's the research and the touch and getting to hear what people like. And that's what I love, even when I come down to do a lovely event day for you, Debbie. Yes, I do go out.
And we have been very, very honoured to have you here on more than one occasion. So yeah. Indeed.
Yeah, exactly. And you're a brand ambassador, obviously, as well, Debbie. So of course you need the raw treatment as a brand ambassador. So yeah, I love getting to speak to customers. I still have that, that sales thing inside me where I love hearing what they want, convincing them, demonstrating. I think we do. Brand ambassadors and retailers, iCandy retailers, do a really good job. So why not get out and speak to the people, see what they want?
It is magical to have people back in store, and I think it's something we strive to create, is that magical experience that you describe, and it should be like that. It shouldn't be, sat in front of a computer and you can't really touch anything. So it's great that we can have them back. So obviously, has that affected your future development plans? I guess not, if you've got this exciting product in development.
No, not a blip, because we have our design team and they continue to work, and even our team in China and the rest of us continue to work. We haven't stopped. In actual fact, it gave us slightly bit more time, second lockdown, to concentrate on what we want, what our consumers want, what our end users want for our products. And we've even got another product that we're going to bring out the following year, which currently just has Project Z.
Wow.
But it will be another pushchair. And so we again think it's something within our offering that we're missing. We also do think that it's something that I think will appeal very much to people traveling. So yeah, we're excited about that one. But core this year is the main groundbreaker for us.
Wow. So all within the pushchair range, do you have any thing, are you thinking about branching outside of wheeled goods? I know you do your My Chair, but...
Well, it's interesting you say that, but I've come up with another idea, and it's, I can't remember the exact name. It's Eye Candy Expert or Eye Candy Recommends. It's IC Recommends, that's what it's called. And what we decided to do is to go out to the marketplace and use Eye Candy as a platform for us to review, because we have so many people out there that we go to review our products. All our products are not necessarily, I don't want to be inundated with people requesting to be testers. Certainly, I can give you an email address if you want to, but I don't want people being played with, oh, I'd love to test, etc. But we do have a number of rotational people that we get fresh blood in all the time to test our products. But we've decided this time around as well to test products that we don't sell and products that we probably will never sell. And so we're actually going to create this IC recommends, where we sort of give these awards to certain products. And currently we're going through bathing products, some thermometer products, light products that, and so we thought, a lot of our consumers come to our website to research, or they go on to Which, or they go onto some other website to research. So we sort of wanted to be that place where if people are coming to Eye Candy to look at an Eye Candy product, as an aside, we could give you independent parenting reviews on these products, and they're completely independent. All they get is to keep the product, and some of the products reviews have been great and some of them have not been great, and so we have to stand by what these reviewers are saying, and we will be posting these out over the next month or two. So we will become sort of a review place. Don't think we'll ever do competitive pushchairs because I don't think, again, they're not us reviewing it. These are giving, we go out, we buy these products, so these are not gifted to us. These are not things that people have donated and said, oh, please review our product. It's the opposite. We go out and buy, we go out and we're very independent, and we want to make sure that if people come into the website, they're aware of the Eye Candy brand. And actually, here's the other products that our testers are recommending.
But I think consumers actually really value independent testing rather than someone who's been given a product who is just going to automatically always give it 4 or 5 stars, because
Correct.
That's not independent. That's not really giving the consumer a completely unbiased report. So do you plan to sell these products on your website, or is it just to give people information? Because I love giving information. That's just what we've done during lockdown. We just love information.
And also, ultimately, what we want to do is during this lockdown, and there could be future lockdowns, please God there isn't, but you never know. But there's a lot of people out there that are innovating. They're like us, they're innovators, and they haven't got a platform to go to people to expose themselves to these products so that people are aware of them. The multiples, they can go to the multiples, and the multiples will go, yeah, I'll take it, but I need X amount of discount, or I need you to do all this marketing. So we want to give those people like us who are innovators, and that's the big thing about Eye Candy, is our number one is innovation and changing and taking things what we do and making it better, or coming out with world first products. We want to give those people who don't have that voice a chance. So eventually we will have people going, look, I've got this really good product. It could be a pacifier that raises your child to 21. Great. How is it? Tell us about it. And if we like it, we'll give them a platform to be able to, with reviewers to talk about it. And then if people want it, then yes, they can go to the person who's innovated it, or who else is selling it. Or we would then go to our independent retailers and go, look, everyone's gone crazy for this particular product. Something you guys should get on board. So it's a good thing for our whole network, not necessarily for Eye Candy.
That is such a fantastic thing. That is such a brilliant idea, because obviously in the past, we've had the opportunity to go to smaller shows in this country where maybe small suppliers can come and showcase their products, and they just haven't had that opportunity this year. And actually, I do feel for a lot of new companies that want to break into the marketplace, there is no opportunity to do that. So what an absolutely amazing thing to offer. What a fantastic thing. That is groundbreaking. That is something new. And I think for those people who are listening, obviously, if you have got a baby idea, what a fantastic opportunity to bring it to the public's attention, to come and work with you.
We'll do it all for free. We're not asking for money in return for this. We're not asking for you to advertise in return for this. If we like the product and our testers love the product, then great, we'll put a review out. and we'll do it. But first and foremost, we're sort of going out to products that are already in the market, so that we're buying those things and giving those independent reviews, so that we sort of build up some platform and sort of discover ourselves how we should test. Is the way we're testing honest and fair and just? And we'll probably have some manufacturers who will come back to us and go, oh, I don't necessarily agree with that. And we'll go, look, it's not us, it's our testers, and we're just giving you, either way, good or bad news, they're speaking about you.
And when can we expect to see that? Have you started that already, or is that in development?
We have started that already. So we have gone through 3 different categories already, and we had some videos in. And so everyone will have to do a video, all of our testers, and say what they like about it. We've got everything sort of set up in the background of our website and how we're going to do it. So it will be this year. It will probably be the next couple of months. So yeah, and we give sort of star ratings on what these people have said. It's their star rating. So, but I had to convince our team, because sometimes we get some negative reviews too, and they go, oh, I don't really know if we should be publishing this out. It's not very nice. I said, it's not our review, it's our reviewer's review, and you have to be honest, and you have to let people know what they say.
Absolutely. If you are going to be completely independent, sometimes that does mean something isn't going to meet with someone's approval. That's such a brilliant idea, Martin. That is so innovative. I love that.
Like, gives you an idea what's in my head.
Yeah, well, I'm sure your head is probably a little bit like mine. When I went to my team and I'm like, right, okay, not only are we going to do all these lives and these videos, we're now going to do a podcast as well, because we need to bring more information to more people. And that's such a great thing, because now we're bringing this information to people too. Now, I know that iCandy have a fantastic partnership with Great Ormond Street. So not only do you sell products, develop products, obviously you're trying to help people bring things to market and test things. You've also raised a huge amount of money for Great Ormond Street, which is something which is very, very close to your hearts, and I know you're very passionate about.
Well, sadly, we one of the joint CEOs' grandchild had passed away in Great Ormond Street Hospital due to an illness. So it's quite a private thing, but at the same point, the whole of the iCandy business felt his pain, and obviously the reviews or how they were treated from Great Ormond Street Hospital was amazing. And the big thing for us, other than this personal element to Great Ormond Street Hospital, was the fact that the thing we love the most is that they're always doing the research behind closed doors on all these infant illnesses and diseases and bits and pieces. Because, if we weren't supporting an entity like Gosh, we wouldn't necessarily have the customer base, or we'd have less customer base. But also, on the flip side of that, we went off and we created, Gosh came to us and said, look, one of the problems we have here is the tanks, an oxygen tank, that a lot of the children here, if they want to get out, they're stuck within the confines of the hospital. But if parent wants to take them outside, there's nothing to take the tank with them and the baby. So invariably, these babies or children are locked in a place. So we actually, the Strawberry, which was one of our pushchairs at the time, which had the biggest shopping basket, we went off with our own little design team here in the UK, and we modified it completely so that it would safely be able to move a child and a tank from A to B. So those pushchairs are still being used out there today in Great Ormond Street Hospital. So it is something that we believe in. It is something that's close to our heart. We've been supporting them now for, I think, coming on towards certainly 7-8 years at this stage. We still continue to do so. And yeah, we've got a good relationship with Chris there and his team. And we try and find different ways of being able to fundraise. And, we do a lot of internal fundraising, but obviously this year you can't. So we did bake-offs, and we did, one of the joint CEOs did a run, but all of that has been limited. So charities like Great Ormond Street Hospital have been suffering this year because they haven't had that fundraising. So we have dug deeper into our own pockets to support them. And I would encourage anybody out there who has a child to, any way means possible, try and support Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Yeah, they do an absolutely amazing job. One of my daughters.
Please God, nobody ever needs to use them.
Yeah.
But it's like, I always think as Gosh as a massive insurance policy. They're there, keep them funded, keep them innovating, because one day if you do need them, they might just have cracked your child's condition.
Yeah, definitely. So finally, you've been involved over 16 years in the nursery industry, and I'm sure that you must have seen some amusing things and amusing situations in your time. Are there any you'd like to share with our listeners?
I'm not, I'm not sure. I'm not sure some of them are broadcastable.
Well, maybe
but
if
there's
they
some.
are.
Well, it's funny, really, because invariably a lot of them sort of go around consumer show or trade shows like Cologne, and funny things we look at when we do these sort of shows, and you sort of do it with a wry smile. You can see, because we innovate so much, we have a number of, unfortunately, we have a number of competitors who don't necessarily have the same design resource as us. So invariably, we'll end up being copied. So we sort of sit back and watch it, and invariably somewhere along the line we will be copied. And although it used to vex us before, I think we've become a little bit more relaxed about it, and flattery is a form of compliment for us. But yeah, so we just get on and do what we do. But yeah, there are some very unprintable, unbroadcastable stories that I have, but a lot of them even sort of come around our own sort of iCandy network. There's things over the years where I've gone to a consumer show, a trade show abroad, and one of the joint CEOs has locked himself in the toilet and couldn't open the toilet for hours, and nobody came to him because it was a night flight. So that's a funny story. And there's another one of our team is always tripping up over things, and a number of retailers. We had a stand at one stage that had pointed edges, and so we had a number of retailers recreating Superman, so they trip over the edge of this and fly.
I was going to say, I think I might have tripped over that myself.
Possibly.
With my heels, always wearing heels.
Possibly. Yeah, true. And your amazing suits. We always ask what colour suit are you wearing tomorrow, Davey? And it could be your plum colour, it could be your purple, it could be your pink you're wearing today.
Do like a bit of colour. I think the colour's a good thing. So
yes.
Finally, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would that be?
Don't go into the nursery industry. I'm joking.
I'm sure you don't.
No, I don't.
Do you know what? It's very funny because lots of people will say that. I've talked to lots of people, obviously other retailers as well. And people who are passionate about nursery will often say, jokingly, don't go. I wouldn't do it again. But those people like us who are so passionate, they couldn't do anything else because we love it. We love it so much.
Absolutely. 16 years on, I certainly didn't think I'd be here today and in the position I'm in today. But I think for me, probably what I'd say to myself is, because we feel so passionately about iCandy in the business, is probably not to take things so personally. And I think we are a very personal business. And I think the nursery industry is very personal. Years ago when we had the brand out and we didn't do internet at the time, we had to change with the times. And thankfully we did over this last pandemic, etc. We've allowed retailers we drop ship for retailers to help them out. We allowed retailers to sell online who previously beforehand we didn't allow to sell online, just to help them through things. But for us, really, we look at things, we look at the market, and because we're so passionate about the market, and so we want retailers to strive, we want retailers to have margin, we want retailers to have product, we want retailers to come in. If I had my way years ago, and probably would have been a big mistake, I didn't want to sell online. I wanted that lovely, lovely feature that we had where people came in and got the whole demonstration. Can you imagine if we hadn't allowed it over this last year? We probably wouldn't be around.
We would have just adapted. We would have adapted. We would have done videos. We would have sold differently. There's always a way around. There's always, you just have to adapt. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
And we're also, for us, I think we're looking to ideally bring manufacturing of iCandy products back to the UK at some stage.
God, that is my passion. That is absolutely. I have been banging on about this for so long. You can't imagine. I do not understand why someone can't manufacture here, because with all the increased costs in China and the shipping, and obviously the delays and the time it takes to move everything, surely there has to be a way, even if it's a premium product. And I know that consumers would so love that. And I actually think the Chinese would love that. I think the Chinese would buy it back.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. You heard it here first. I just want to say this. You heard it here first.
Well, we're in our initial research because years ago, unfortunately, the UK gave up all their tools and sold all their plastic things for making parts and stuff. So it is an expensive process to do. We have identified certain areas in the UK where there is the ability to do these things. So yeah, watch this space.
Oh, Martin, that would be so amazing. So amazing. Wow. Honestly, you have given us so much information. Thank you so much for joining us today. So now we have a little insight in terms of a new product that's coming, about innovation, about some of the things you do. You've shared so much with the listeners today. I can't thank you enough for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today.
More than welcome, anytime.
Oh, thank you so much. If you want any help or advice on any of the things that we've talked about, you can contact us through our website, or you can email us at sales@babylady.co.uk, or you can even pick up the phone if you prefer to speak to someone in person. That's it for this week's episode. On next week's episode, I'll be talking to Diane Hull, a truly brilliant individual who's written some inspiring children's books about mental health. Join me next week.